All right, so good evening. My name is Rachel Richards. We're on week 3 of Love Your Life in 2023, learning to love the life that we live, the life that we design. And tonight we're doing a popcorn night of questions. Anything you want me to coach, anything you'd like to know how it would be handled in growth coaching. I've said this before, I'm not a counselor, I'm not a therapist, I'm not a doctor, I'm not any of those things, and I'm not approaching life from that perspective. I'm approaching life from growth coaching. And I do want to just kind of recap what that is. Growth coaching is bringing our life into integrity with ourself. So aligning the relationship that matters the most, second to the one I have with God, right, is the one I have with me, because out of that, everything flows. So my ability to keep my commitments is how I perceive others, right? So we're really working on growing into a place where our actions match who we're trying to become. And that's really the definition of growth coaching. I said it last week, it's a body of work. It's not like, oh, it's not exhaustive. There is no finish line to growth work. And I think that's what a lot of people get stuck on, is like, when will I be done? Or when will this, you'll find the more you grow, the more you want to grow. And that's why it's never exhaustive. Okay. A few things just to kind of chat from our weeks prior is we are understanding that we've always had a say. You've always had a say in how your life goes. So we're in this space of like radical responsibility. Why is it important I really felt led to share this with you guys tonight before we start talking together. It's important that you understand that you've always had a say, because if you didn't, then you would be a victim and you won't have a say in your future. Like, if you didn't have a say, right? And I'm not, we've covered this, context, really important. I'm not talking about going through hard things. I'm not talking about grief. We don't get a say in grief, right? I'm not talking about things like that. I'm talking about looking at our life and going, I have a big say in what happens. And if I believe that I have a big say, I'll take big actions. I won't be others focused. I'll be so concerned about the relationship that I have with myself and coming into integrity in that relationship that I won't worry so much about external things, and I'll have more equanimity. We talked about that. You could throw things at someone that has equanimity and they have internal stability, right? They don't lose their emotional stability because they learn to have that inside. And that's really what growth coaching is about, is equanimity. So I just wanted to refresh it for people watching the playback, and for those maybe jumping into week 3, like, what are you guys doing? I haven't been on. I wanted to be fair to everybody. But what did you guys come with tonight? I got a lot of prompt questions if you didn't come with anything, but tonight, week 3, I wanted it to be popcorn. Like, I need clarification on this, Rachel, or we talked about this, and also praise reports. Like, if you guys have done some things where you're like, hey, you told me to name my roommate and now I can hear it, right? Let's talk. So if you guys will just put up your hand if you want to share a win, if you want to ask a question, literally that's what we're doing tonight. So who wants to go first? All right, Sheila.
Hey, Rachel.
Good evening. Hi.
Good evening. You're in California, so from Texas to California.
Yeah.
So I just wanted to say one thing that I discovered, even it's been a process for me in the last, I would say, 6 months or so, but things that you planted into my life several years ago when you were coaching me, there was a lot of mindset coaching that you were helping me with, and you talked about burning the boats, right? And I never really burned the boats, and I'm sorry, I'm going to try to not get emotional and say this really fast. For years,
you don't have to say it fast. It's you have the floor. Okay.
Thank you. For years, everything that I did related to my health, I never realized how much it was connected to being an example for my mom or trying to be better for David. Love David. He's never like made me want to do it. But it wasn't until about 6 months ago when I felt the weight coming on, and it was like mentally I knew it and it was going in the wrong direction. And I was like, why? I need to stop this. I need to do better, eat better, be better, all these things. And then I had this thought one day. I said to myself, what does it matter anyway? She's not here anymore. And in that moment, as sad as it was, I realized, wow, I've never really done this for myself. Like, what does this look like for myself? And so since then, God's kind of like put certain people in my lives, whether it be through like a church event or whatever conversations, and just showing me again and again and again that it's time to live the healthy life that I've always said that I want to live, but this time for myself. And as I've started to dig down that road and take the steps, I'm now able to grasp hold of things that I wasn't able to before. And I'm able to make decisions, hard decisions. Like right now, I'm in the middle of a 30-day liquid fast. I never in a million years would have thought that I would have said I could do this. And I'm walking it out. And I just got over 4 days of having the flu and I'm still walking it out. And it's different this time because I'm not doing it for anybody else. And it's just such a freeing thing to be here and say, yes, it's hard, but God, with you, all things are possible. And I'm praying every day and I'm asking him every day. And I'm getting to like see things in a whole new way that I never have before. So I finally can really understand and feel what it is to start burning the ships. Because I'm not doing it for the finish line. I'm not doing it for somebody else. I'm doing it because I want something better for myself long term. If that makes sense.
It makes perfect sense because it's what we started with in the series. Do you guys remember that motivation, if it's external, it will always fail you, right? And it's intrinsic motivation, meaning, Sheila, why do you want to get healthy? Like, why? So what? Like getting to that point of like, why? And why, what happens when I do, right? So really looking at what happens when I do that means something to me, that makes me happy, makes me feel something that I want, right? So now you're looking at your future self, and this is where what we call that identity-based coaching. It's not about the weight loss, it's about the identity in which you would like to possess. Maybe you've always saw yourself as someone healthy, and you're like, spiritual health, yes, vocational health, yes. Why not physical? Why not nutrition? Why not me? Like, why? But now you're coming into that, whereas before it was external motivation, so it kept failing you. And something for all of us and outside of weight loss is like, man, if you want to change something, make sure that you want to change that something. Make sure that it has a benefit for you. And I know that's hard, especially as Christian women, where it's like, is it okay if it's like completely, something that I want to create? And I know that that can be challenging to get to that place, but I love that for you. And it's really designing a life in which, and this is kind of something I heard this week, that if we are not at the center of our health and well-being, someone or something else is. And so like bringing God into that space and you being at the center of the creation, you get to play now. You get to play. So you're like, what do I want to play with here? Okay, I'm going to do a water fast. I've never actually done that. I want to play with that. I want to see what that spiritual renewal is like. I'm interested in doing it. I'm not a victim. You're playing with what's possible. You're creating. And when you create with the creator, there's no stopping you. But what was happening before was an avoidance model or more of a external motivation, and it will never work. It will work until it doesn't. And then you're like, it stopped working. I was on a 30-day kickstart and all of a sudden I lost my mojo. It's because it wasn't your 30-day kickstart. It's not even something you wanted to do. It might have been a post on social media that you got some FOMO for, right? How many times have you guys seen someone say, I'm about to do a 75-day hard, and then someone's like, me too, and me too, and you're like, hey, me too. Wait, me too? Wait, do I want to do that, or did I just get FOMO'd into a 75-day hard? Like, it's not to say those are not, but make sure you want to do it and that you were not FOMO'd into anything, okay? Because that's external motivation that will fail you again and again. I love that. That was so good. I'm so excited for you, my friend. Like, that's beautiful stuff. And I can tell, I can hear it in your voice. I'd say the thing in closing that we want to burn the ships on is external motivation. Not even what's in your house or what's in your cupboards, but like, no more will I do things when I'm not at the center of the creating it, because that's external and it won't last and it'll end up beating me up again. I'll break that promise to myself because it wasn't my promise to myself. It was my promise to David or my dear mom. As honorable as that is, she would want you to make promises to yourself that you want to keep, you know, and she'd be very proud of that work. So awesome. Good stuff. Anybody else want to talk about stuff you're processing through this series, or your roommate, or how are you peppering your life with things that the future you does, right? Like, and how are you disrupting patterns? Amy?
Okay, first, I'm so thankful I have my Zoom back. For those of you who don't know, I looked like a total crazy person, like every time I was on Zoom. Okay, I'm just gonna say it. Usually I'm like so prepped for anything that I need to say, but I love this setting of just who we are and like this call. Promising myself that I'm going to get my finances in order finally has started. And I think that's a huge win because I've been a coach for 3 years and you hear it over and over and over: healthy body, healthy mind, healthy finances, you know. And I've sat in on some pretty amazing things over the last 3 years that talk about finances. And it was just like what you said, Rachel, like 75 hard, oh, me too, me too, me too. And it's like, oh, I'm gonna do this, this, and this. And I'm like, me too. And then I get home and I'm like, nope. You know, like, nope, not happening. I don't even know where to start. And it's just really cool that my point is I started with a healthy body, and in that process gained such a healthier mindset around like what my life really means and how I'm adapting to that over time through hardships and grief and marriage and kids and everything. Just, it's so amazing. And now I'm finding the space to promise myself, not my husband, not my parents, not my coaches. Julie's here, so I'm like, I've sat with her and Brian so many times. For me, like, I want this, and it does feel so good, right, Sheila, to just say, I'm doing this for me. And it feels really good. So yeah, really, that's
I love that. I love that. So, and I have a question for everybody, but I'll ask it of you since we're kind of having this chat. Is it okay now that you've decided that it's what you genuinely want? It's not anything external, right? And those external things, they might have been things that brought you into pre-contemplation, right? Where, don't forget the stages of change. Like, a lot of people around us are watching and going, maybe I might like to do that someday, you know? So you are as we take a hold of our life and we get more control over our life, we are also motivating and inspiring other people for when they're ready. But my question to you, Amy, is as you think about bringing this into full integrity, how do I want to phrase this? Is it okay that you don't feel like doing it? Like on the days when you're not going to feel like doing that, right? Where you're like, just buy that real quick or whatever. Is it okay that that in the decision that you've made that you're not going to feel like doing it? Have you made peace with the feelings, do not inform our decision part of the change?
Yeah, I have, because of what I've learned over time, just becoming who I want to become. Being in integrity is a huge part of my life anyway. But I've hidden parts of my finances, and so it's really all about, God, I really want to get that, but I'm just not going to do it, and I'm okay with it. I don't know if that answers your question, but it's
100%.
more
Yeah.
like yes, like I'm okay with that because I've made a decision, to move forward in, because I have a big reason why I need to get this under control. There's a lot of little things happening that add up to a lot of big things. And it's the same as in your body and in your mind. And I never really put that in a circle with my finances. Right. And so it's just, I want to be an integral person. I believe that I am. And I think in the past, maybe I haven't been in one way or another with little things. And so, yeah, I am okay with it. It's holding myself
Awesome.
accountable.
I say that because when we go to do these things, that hardwiring, that roommate, she has a lot of ideas around, it's fine. You know what? It's $8. It's, she has a lot to say about things. And if we can identify that and go, hold on. Oh, I see what that is. We notice it, right? That's my roommate. She's reminding me of my old wiring. And I want to notice it, but what I've already decided is that, I'm on a spending freeze for whatever it is. I don't know your exact thing, right? But you've already decided. So when we lay out the groundwork for our growth work and we bring ourselves into integrity with that, then we don't have to care about how we feel, right? Like people don't change from a place, like growth work is extremely uncomfortable. So if it's uncomfortable, it's the evidence of going somewhere new. And so I just love to ask people that question. Is it okay that you're not going to feel like it? And what are your supports in the moment where you flat out don't feel like it, to stay in integrity with yourself, right? And really know that it's not supposed to be comfortable in a society where everybody's like, hey, well, it's, your truth, my truth, all the truth, it's okay, it's all right. I mean, it's hard to find a straight line to walk for change and go, hey, I think this is supposed to be uncomfortable, and really get comfortable with being uncomfortable as evidence of, oh my gosh, if this hurts, I must be developing a muscle. I'm probably developing a financial muscle that I've never seen, So just know that when it's uncomfortable, that's literally you getting shredded in that muscle that was formerly programmed to take you into self-sabotage, right? So that's awesome. Thank you for sharing that. I think all of us can relate, with all of that, and it's really good. All right, Nicole. Oh, am I off mute?
Yeah, I'm here.
Yeah.
So it was so helpful last week to name it, right? To name my roommate, because I couldn't really pinpoint it, is just managing the disappointment of unmet expectations in myself and in others. I think I still struggle though with the triggers of the feelings, right? I mean, I used to use food, but 15 years recovered from that. I don't use food anymore. And then I was using Netflix and numbing out and binge watching. So, okay. So now I'm like, okay, I'm doing the actions of not doing that, right? But then I still get paralyzed by the feelings, and the feelings aren't facts. I just don't know how to move forward from the feelings. I'm a feeling person to the point it's so annoying. And I don't want to be paralyzed by that. And so I still am struggling, even if I'm not using food, I'm not using Netflix, I'm still wanting to escape the feelings.
Yes, yeah, and it's funny, part of this is gonna be the war on the language, right? We talked about that with you a little bit before, where you were like, I can't let it go.
Yeah.
And I was like, well, you already did, because you're off mute talking about how can I grow in this area. So I don't believe that. So one of the things that I was going to talk about tonight is framing things. Be very careful. So I'm going to give you some examples. And in your case, this will be some reframing how you talk about this. So we give ourselves an identity. Okay. I'm a perfectionist. I'm a procrastinator. I'm a big feelings kind of person, right? Whatever it is, it's like, let me see your label, your label, your label. So remember that identity informs our thoughts, and we see everything through that, and we keep getting to be right about it. We keep getting to be right about it. It becomes
self-fulfilling prophecy.
100%, because we're edifying that in which we don't want to be continually. So if I were to say I'm a perfectionist, which I'm not going to say anymore, I say I'm learning to take imperfect actions. I'm learning how to take actions imperfectly. I'm not going to keep saying I'm a perfectionist. I'm private. I'm private. I'm just a closed this. I'm an innie. I keep my feelings. So a lot of how we talk about ourselves is going to inform. So instead of saying I'm a procrastinator, or even referring to our kids in these ways, oh, she's a total procrastinator. What we want to say is, I'm learning to do things immediately that I used to delay. I'm the type of person that needs accountability in the areas of being uncomfortable. So it's very important that you don't agree with staying there by identifying yourself as someone who can't get over things. You can, and you are, because you're in process in that area of your life. You're learning to unbecome in that area of your life. You're going to need something for that wiring. So for example, when someone is a boredom eater, right? What do we need to work on? Boredom. We don't need to work on don't eat, don't. That's the avoidance model. That's the white knuckling. That's not creating. But what we need to do is say, what time does boredom hit at your house? Oh, usually it's 6 to 7 o'clock. Do you want to take action in this area of your life? Do you want to overcome this pattern? Do you want to pepper your life with something new? Do you want to behave like the person that you're trying to become? Or is it more important just to say, I'm a boredom eater? I'm a boredom eater. We do these things to ourselves, right? In this capacity. Then what we need to do is have a new set of behaviors from 6 to 7. And it doesn't matter how we feel about it. It doesn't matter, because we said, no, in this area of my life, I need to take action. And so I would ask you, when that hits, where you're like, I know people are going to disappoint me. I'm going to have big feelings sometimes during this week. This week, something will happen while I'm in process. I'm growing. So when someone upsets me, I'm going to use the following supports. Like I am, and I'll, and I'll tell you we talked about it in the beginning. In order to be a big person and have a big life, right? A big life, a big person. And I'm not talking about finances or status or anything like that, just being up to big things.
Cool.
Yes, we have to be enormous forgivers. Like such a muscle, like I was saying to Amy, where you're like, almost like when someone upsets you, the very first thing you say is, I forgive them. I forgive them. Like, you know what? I'm just going to forgive them because I'm making meaning. Remember, we talked about that. Like, And really writing that out, Nicole, like
Mhm.
meaning maker machine, right? I made meaning to what they did, and it's the
Mhm.
meaning that I made to it that hurt me. It's not what they actually did, because I don't know. So keeping
Mm.
a journal of what am I making meaning to this week? And this is just a muscle that you to develop. It's going to take time, and do not label yourself someone that has big emotions or someone that's not able to handle disappointment. You say, you know what's so exciting in my health journey? I'm learning how to be a big, rapid, fast forgiver. And I'm also learning how to make less meaning to things. And I'm also learning how to use supports for when I would normally start to overthink something. Like normally I'm doing that, but I've been practicing these new behaviors. So when I feel like I'm going to start overthinking, I'm going to go and take a brisk walk with my dog, or I'm going to call a friend and change the subject on myself, right? I'm going to call someone and just talk about something. I'm going to create something. So I think that's important for everyone. My question, we identified your roommate. What's the identity? That'll be something I need to know next week. Like, what do you put here? Like, well, I wear my heart on my sleeve. Okay. But no, because you're going to get to be right about that. And that's really dangerous, right? So, we don't want to put labels on ourselves. I'm an emotional eater. Nope, you don't get to wear that either. Because that's not your identity. Actually, that's how you behave, but that's not your identity. That's your current default setting pattern is emotional eating, right? But that's not who you are. So don't identify yourself like that. It's going to be really hard to change that. I'm just a jealous person, whatever it is, right? So we talked about our roommate. We need to talk about what labels you walk around with that are not a part of your new identity, meaning the integral relationship that you have with yourself. And all is not an exhaustive work. And as you get one label off, you're going to go, oh, what? I didn't see this other label under. Okay. So let go of the fact that there's a specimen of perfection, that you're going to arrive as this totally balanced human that's like always having equanimity and never below the line. That's baloney. Like literally that's baloney. And I got set free of that at Sundance with a group with Jim Detmer, and he was just like, that's baloney. Like nobody is that. Like, and that's why you just keep striving to get more and more labels off of you and really embrace who you were meant to be. So I'm excited for everybody. You guys are thinking about stuff, and that's amazing. Our time tonight is already wrapping up. So please come next week with, oh my gosh, I say these things about myself. I introduce myself like this. Even if it's like, just spend some time with it. Ask your family what identity you talk about yourself as, or, I'm a softie. I'm a people pleaser. I just can't say no. Like, you're going to get to be right about that. Remember that. Okay. So, and if, you don't want that, then we got to shut it down. Crystal, you want to share with us before we wrap?
Yeah, I'll just keep it really quick. Speaking to what you just said, Rach, because that's something I've been working on a lot recently. And what you're saying is like, oh, I'm an emotional eater. I'm a boredom eater. I'm this, I'm that, kind of what you talked about before, busy as a batch, right? And like the life telling ourselves how we show up. So recently I've just been working as well. Like, okay, when I get with other homeschool moms, I don't want to sound like them. Some of them like, oh my God, I'm so tired. I'm so overwhelmed. I can't do this. I don't know if I can do another day. And I'm like, I don't want to show up like that. So certain things that I catch myself like, oh, maybe I did say that, or maybe I did present that and it was a lie. It's not true. Maybe I just had a bad day, So what I've been doing is I just write it down. I have a little planner, but I write in my little notes like, okay, just thinking, reflecting on what lie did I say today that really isn't me, or what am I allowing other people to speak into me, and I'm wearing that and I'm taking that like, oh yeah, that's me too, like the 75 hard, right? Oh, me too. It's like, no, not you too. Like, stop it. Don't let other people's words keep filling your mind and you saying, oh, me too. It's like, no, it's not you too. You are your own person, but realize, like, what are you allowing to sink in? And just, I hope that makes sense. I just wanted to share that based off of
That
what you
makes
just shared.
perfect sense. That makes perfect sense. You're saying sometimes in order to connect too with women, we're, you know, we're taking on identities that we're actually trying to not be, you know. Oh my gosh, I'm so overwhelmed. Remember, we talked about this on another call, is Captain Cool Whip, right? And this was on a separate call with some leaders that I was talking to, is like, women will say, like, you may say, wow, I had the worst day, homeschooling was a mess, busy as a badge, it's honorable, oh my gosh, I'm so busy. So if you're overwhelmed, what women will often do, not to pick on women, but it's common, is, oh, I can top that. You should have seen what my morning was like. We call that person Captain Cool Whip, because they can always top your stress, right? They can, instead of like going, wow, Crystal, girl, I'm so glad you made it here. Like, you need a hug. This is letting you be where you are and me just hug. Do you need to pray? You want my coffee? Right? I'm meeting you where you're at, and I'm not taking that on and making it to where the only way I can relate to you is to commiserate and, oh, me too, everything's out of control. Like, we got to be careful. This is the war on words part of our development, where we're, you know, and be gentle with yourself. You're not going to just get all this off of you. Culturally, it's going to get put back on you every day. And that's why I say growth is a body of work, growth coaching, because it's constantly refreshing your mind. How we've been meeting weekly, this is good refreshment for your mind. And then it's okay that you kind of get dirty again, you know, and then you refresh your mind. Don't put that expectation that, oh, I was on that call on Monday and by Wednesday I was Captain Cool Whip. Well, that's probably normal, you know, but be aware of it and go, gosh, you know what? I heard myself do it. That was so interesting. You know, don't do it without the judgment, and just enjoy the ride of becoming a conscious person in this unconscious world. That will literally make you stand out and people go, something's different about you. Like, I mind my mind. Like, that's a big deal, right? So I am so happy for you guys that you're thinking and caring for yourself in this way, that you're getting on the call. I do hope that you let me know, like, in between the calls. Don't hesitate to send me stuff in Messenger. I can't promise what I can do with all of it, but sometimes I just pray it up. Other times I might write back, other times voice text back. But like, if you're stirring on something and you want to share with me during this series, please do. Like, I would love to know, because I might have something super specific for you as well. Okay. And all of this grows me, guys. So thank you, because I'm a hot mess and this helps me be aware of it. So, all right. Love you guys. Have a great night, and we'll see you next week. Next week, we'll pick up on identities, and we'll kind of close up the series with some things to take with you for the rest of the year, like something to think about for February or March, April, like kind of theme this growth work, and really take a walk with your year to make sure that you're coming into integrity with yourself. Okay. Love you guys. Take care.